The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie here on Q101, and we just told you we get Jake Hamilton on from Fox 32. Jake's takes on social media, on Instagram and Twitter. Follow him. And I just saw Kenzie on his Wikipedia page. It says, one of the nation's top show business journalists by Forbes magazine has named him that.
I mean, it shows. His interviews for movies and stuff are awesome. Because a lot of these people just give movie reviews who work in this. His interviews with the celebrities are so good. A-level guest, Jake. Welcome to the show. Is that a good intro?
Guys, I'm just really glad that you guys got the check. I'm really glad that the check cleared, and you guys read the script word for word. So I appreciate you. You guys are perfect.
Thank you. We're so talented.
So we just had a caller on that saw Barbie already and caused a fight with her and her boyfriend on the way home from the movie because they expected it to be lighter, and apparently there's some social commentary in Barbie. So I guess we can start right there with Barbie. We're going to talk about Oppenheimer as well and what you should see, what you should, your money, your time. Everybody, a lot of people want to see both. I know, I get that. I do too.
Yeah, look, this is a Barbenheimer weekend. They said over 345,000 tickets have already been sold for both movies simultaneously. People doing both. But yeah, look, Barbie it's written and directed by Greta Gerwig, who is one of the most talented voices in Hollywood today. But you don't hire Greta Gerwig to make a 2-hour-long Barbie commercial. That's not what this film is. If you want that sort of movie, there are a lot of straight-to-DVD animated Barbie movies out there. This is a movie that has something to say. It has something to say about men's place in the world, about women's place in the world. It says it has a lot of social commentary and uses the concept of Barbie and Ken as a really great sort of a vessel to say a lot of big things. I think what's interesting is, all of us grew up watching, movies when we were kids and then maybe revisited them 20 years later and thought, oh my God, there are so many jokes in this movie that went way over my head when I was a kid. And I could see this being one of those movies for a lot of younger people. And then obviously the parents that are going to take a younger generation are going to get a lot of the bigger messaging. But when one of the longest lasting jokes in the movie is a Matchbox 20 joke, you know that this is not a movie made for 8-year-olds.
That's a really good point.
That's hilarious. So yeah, I mean that's a great way to say it, so people that are going to it know what to expect a little more.
It's not a fluff piece,
right?
It's not a fluff piece, and Greta, but testament to that studio, you hire someone like Greta Gerwig, and then you just step back, put your hands up in the air, and say, let's just see what happens. And I got to tell you, I honestly, it's one of my favorite movies so far this year. I absolutely loved it. And I got to be honest with you, the couple that called saying that they had an argument, to me, that's a win. Any movie that gets two people together and yields a passionate just debate and conversation, that is the best part about movies. Whenever you have two different people with two different opinions that are sort of raging at each other, there's nothing lamer than two people walking out of a movie going, that was all right. Yeah, that was pretty good, I guess. When you get two people on opposite sides of the spectrum yelling at each other, to me, that is what movie going is all about.
That's what we say about that. That's what we say about the show, actually.
Yeah, Brian and I yell at each other every day.
What are you arguing about? Like, who's more talented? You both win.
Aww.
That's how you get invited back on the show.
I love you.
You come on anytime. So that's Barbie, and let's go on to Oppenheimer, which I saw in my neighborhood, the Music Box. They're showing it 70 millimeter, and the line for the 5 o'clock showing yesterday was literally around the block. People waiting 2 hours in 89-degree weather to get in there. Thankfully, the Music Box saw them all out there and let them in a little bit early. And after that, so completely different movie, obviously, with a Chicago connection, as with the University of Chicago being involved with the building of the A-bomb. But, okay, Oppenheimer. What do you think?
Honestly, Oppenheimer, probably my favorite film so far this year. It is from director Christopher Nolan, who is one of the best directors working today. Obviously, most people probably know him from the Dark Knight trilogy or Inception. He has his own Chicago connections. He spent years here with the Batman films. In fact, he told me that he actually fell in love with cinema by going to see a movie on the IMAX screen at the Museum of Science and Industry decades ago.
Wow.
So this is a director who loves this city, but this is a not your standard biopic. I mean, this is a movie that jumps around in time. It has an incredible cast of Oscar winners. It is one of those stories where every 5 minutes you're going, wait a second, this guy's in this movie? It is absolutely incredible. It might be the single best performance of Robert Downey Jr.'s career.
Wow.
It is a heavy film. It has a lot to say, not just about what was going on during World War II and the implications of that, but also what's going on today and the ripple effect that we're still feeling 80 years later. It is a massive film. It has a lot to say. The closest that I can say that it is relatable would almost be if you're familiar with Oliver Stone's JFK, which was a big, sprawling historical epic that weaved a lot of different time periods with a lot of different A-list actors. A little bit less conspiracy theory in this one, but let me tell you, it is one of the absolute best films today, and I promise you, in 6 months when they start rattling out the Oscar nominations, you are going to hear everything from Cillian Murphy, who plays J. Robert Oppenheimer. You're going to hear Emily Blunt. You're going to hear Robert Downey Jr., and I guarantee you are going to hear director Christopher Nolan's name called a lot.
Wow.
So you got to see both, then, it sounds like, right?
There are two wildly different, but listen, as a movie fan, nothing makes me happier than having two massive movies come out. Both of them have been reviewed incredibly well. Both of them are expected to bring in so much money, and honestly, that's just what we need. It's been a little bit of a lackluster summer, to be honest, both in quality and at the box office. So as a movie fan, I want sort of the conversation going. I want movies that get people yelling at each other. I want movies that bring in a lot of money and bring people to the box office, because that's the sort of environment I grew up with as a kid. So I want that. So, it used to not be a big deal when two big movies came out at one time. These days, it's one movie at a time. We used to have multiple big movies come out at one time. So, if even with director Christopher Nolan, 15 years ago, Mamma Mia and The Dark Knight came out on the same weekend. And here we are 15 years later with two wildly different films. So as I saw one person say, we had Barbenheimer this weekend. 15 years ago, we had The Dark Mama with Dark Knight and Mamma Mia. So history's repeating itself a decade and a half later.
So back to Barbie for a second. Kyle from Glendale Heights just texted in while you were giving this great, amazing, detailed reviews of both movies. Would Barbie be good to bring my 5-year-old daughter to who loves playing with Barbies?
I think, in theory, your 5-year-old might be distracted by a lot of the bright colors. There are a lot of big musical dance numbers and stuff. There's going to be a ton of messaging and plot points that are going to go over their head. There's nothing inappropriate in the film. There's nothing about the film that you're going to have to cover anyone's eyes. It's just that the movie has a lot of plot points and big ideas, big heavy ideas that are just going to gloss over most kids. But there's nothing inappropriate in the film that you have to be worried about them seeing. It's just more about what the movie's actually about. But there's plenty of stuff, I think, to keep them distracted. The movie runs about 1 hour, 54 minutes. I always get weird about, is this appropriate for my kid question, because I was watching inappropriate R-rated films when I was 6, 7 years old. So I never, it sort of depends on what you let your kid watch. But I think that I would say that there's nothing, sexual or violent or anything you have to worry about. It's just more adult ideas and conversations that are going to be had after the movie ends.
And they're going to be focused on their snacks anyways when people aren't talking. Yeah.
Exactly.
Jake's over there watching Eyes Wide Shut when he was 6 years old.
Yeah.
Hey, one of the best Christmas movies of all time, man. I'm telling you.
Oh, my God.
Thank you so much for checking in. Last minute notice, I know, so I appreciate it so much. And we will have you back, of course. Anytime you want to come on, you're welcome. And great detailed review from everybody that wants to go see these flicks.
I appreciate you.
Have a great day, buddy.
You guys are the best and very good looking, and I love you.
Oh, we love you back.
Well, one of us is good looking.
Have a great day.
All right, see you, Jake.
The Q101 Morning Crew.
On Q101.